See this disappointment.
But I mean, I did a film this year on eco clothing. It was on eco chic sort of stuff, and it was on about organic cotton production in India and recycled clothing through Patagonia, things like that. Now that went on BBC World. Now, so outside our society, yes, kids are watching less and less television, but the viewing figures in Mongolia were over 2 million, and in China they're over 10 million. So BBC World, it's still in large parts of the world, it's still a huge broadcast audience, and I think not everybody has access. So not everybody's like here, and I think we've got to always keep that in mind. And that was very much a message about farmers switching from organic to organic, from pesticide, chemical, traditional farming.
I think currently Vision on TV's YouTube channel, Undercurrents Vision on TV's YouTube channel, has 250,000 views a month, and that will increase exponentially when we actually launch and start doing proper marketing and publicity and so forth. So there's no limit to the possible numbers you can get of online distribution. That's just one streaming source. I mean, it is the most popular one, but it doesn't pick up all kinds of sort of minority interest films. There's 40 streaming sites out there. There's something called RSS feeds. I'm going to be technical about this, but you can, and metadata tags, whereby, but what that means simply is that if you've got a blog or a website, you can select a particular type of film to come into your blog or website automatically, and then it's seen by thousands more by however many people come into your blog or website. So I mean, it's actually limitless what can be done. We have our own player application which delivers a TV experience as well, and this makes us very unusual in the world of video on the web, and it makes us that's why we call ourselves a television station. Where if you install the player application, you'll get seasons of films like Channel 4, studio shows, putting them in context, and all this kind of thing. And so there's many different ways of consuming this, and the potential is absolutely vast.
So, as a creative, I'd like to say that whenever I get involved in the commissioning process, that creativity seems to be hampered somewhat. Have you found that in the past? Because the nice thing, I mean, if we could talk about democratic media for a little while, and how the democracy of the internet, if you like, the kind of leveler playing field that it offers, how interesting that is to independence, and whether you've found that mainstream broadcast process does hamper you at all. Anyone want to respond to that? I mean, you've had more experience maybe in that mainstream process.
In terms of the alternative media versus the indies and the broadcast media.
Yeah, kind of.
Well, I think we discovered certainly in the early 90s, when we were at Undercurrents and Small were together, certainly during that period where there was a heck of a lot going on, and there was a lot of filming by video activists around, that the commissioners were saying they couldn't deal, they were very nervous dealing directly with the alternative media, there's no doubt about that. They wanted a cushion of an independent in between them, who could in a way exec the production or take the footage off the video activist, and it could therefore be sort of managed and editorialized. So I found that in those days the commissioners definitely used indies as a buffer to the video activists. I'm not sure about today, I'm not sure about so much, they're a bit riskier today, maybe some of the broadcasters, but the whole industry has coalesced into huge indies now with RDF, and then and they're all buying up smaller and smaller. In Wales, it's happened in Wales. There's big coalition of independents in Cardiff, or I know, for example.
Yeah, Mandy, you were talking about that the other day, weren't you?
So I mean, the way I'm working now is because I can't. I'm just me and my more small company. So the way I'm working now is I am like attaching myself to bigger fish, and I work with about 3 big production companies, one in London, one in Wardour Street, one in here, and one in Swansea, and then I work directly with about 2 or 3 others who feed mostly internationally. So I tend to work with different bigger organisations. Otherwise, I think you've got to decide. I mean, I decided when I had 2 series running and a whole lot of non-broadcast non-broadcast productions running, and my heart was pumping, and I felt, my God, you know, I'm not making these films, I'm running a business. And that's when I stopped. And after those series ended, I mean, you know, I had so many programs in the air, I couldn't cope with it because I wasn't making films. So I decided either try and make a business or I try and make films. And I found that it was difficult to do both. So I scaled down, and I didn't employ anybody else after that, and I just went into making filmmaking. And then if I want to find out who the new commissioning editor of this strand or that strand, then I attach myself to a bigger production company who has a development producer and who knows. And you use them for access, but you give away a slice. You have to. Okay, so is there anyone out there in the audience who might have a question? I could roam a bit with this microphone, couldn't I? I'm coming at you. You know, I'm heading for these guys here, because I know these guys are young filmmakers over here, just fresh into the game. So, Dominic, got a question?
I've got one quick one. Do you find it interesting that some of these online channels and outlets for playing films actually get more viewings than some of the TV broadcasters get sometimes, because it's over a sustained period of time and people can watch at their own leisure? So, say for example, on BBC Two Wales, you might get 100,000 people watching at a good time of day. You might see 400,000 people see it on YouTube over the course of 2 months. Do you find that interesting in terms of what's going on for filmmakers and how they can get seen by more people?
Well, when I was at BritDoc, there were 5 online distribution website distributors on a stage, and 3 years ago, when they first started, they were offering you 70% of the download fee every month. Now they're offering you 30% of the download fee, and they want exclusive. So it's all very well putting your film up on worldcinemaonline.com, but you can't put it up anywhere else. It would be great if I could put it up on 10 websites they could download, because I agree, you might have 1 million hits, 1 million downloads over 20 years, but if you're getting £3 per download, you're getting £3 million over 20 years. That's a good income. So that's what we were all hopeful for. And at this meeting with all these guys sitting up who's saying, you know, well, I've invested £3 million in my online distribution download site, some guy at the back stood up and said, why are you listening to these guys? Why are you not starting your own website and charging £5 to download it and you get all the money? Well, we tried this on a film and we got 70,000 hits in 3 months. And they downloaded a 10-minute film. Unfortunately, we were charged £2,000 because we'd overstretched our download, and the website company had a little clause at the bottom. Oh yes, you get sort of 1 terabyte of download a month, but if you go over that amount, we charge you per megabyte. And we were suddenly stumped with a £2,000 bill, and of course we'd been giving that trailer away, so you could go onto the site and just download it. So you have to be really careful to factor in how much downloadable space you can get off your website. Once you get an unlimited download space, which is costly, but then you can target places like China, where they have, you know, pretty much 100 million people on websites all day long. If your subject is international, you know, we hoped that our God subject would be watched by different nationalities all over the world. We still hope that. But it is so new, and there are absolutely no figures on the subject. So as far as advertising is concerned, that's great. But the advertisers have no models. So you can tell an advertiser, yeah, you have 100,000 hits per month, but that doesn't mean to say that they know what that means necessarily. So it's very much about relationships with advertising. And of course ethical advertising, because it's too easy when you've got rent to pay, when you get a cigarette company who want to put a viral onto your website and are offering you £10,000. It's very difficult to say no. I mean, I'm telling you, it's difficult. I've said no, and it's real. It's you know, I want to make money out of this. I've made every bit of profit I make out of commission stuff, where people ring me up and offer me a job on their show. All that money goes back into investing in the way I make films.